Welcome to Education Today on Hill Country Network. My name is Chuck Garrett and I'm your host. Today I have the pleasure of having as our guest Coach Todd Lott, the athletic director at New Albany High School. Coach, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here. We're here today to talk a little bit about this past athletic season and just kind of how things are shaping up in the athletic program at New Albany. Just recently, and I'll just introduce this, but just recently our tennis team took state.
4A state champs back-to-back. I think before that they had won it 5 straight years. Last year, then 2 years ago they didn't win it. Now we're back-to-back again, so they've had a great run for sure.
Well, and from what I understand, and I haven't been up close and personal, but from afar it seems like it's been a very successful year.
It has been. You know, all of our teams have competed very well. Very impressed with the coaching staff that we have at New Albany. That all of our coaches do a tremendous job. I think every team that we had at New Albany competed in a state championship, with the exception of 3.
Okay.
Or competed in the state championship tournament or postseason, except for 3. And those 3 are very close to making it. So we're going to keep working and make sure that all our teams are competing in postseason.
Well, Coach, why don't we take a few minutes to get to know you? Let the public, a lot of the public hadn't met you yet. I know you've certainly met a lot of people in 1 year. 1 year as an athletic director gives you an opportunity to be around a lot of people, I'm sure of that.
Met a lot of great people in New Albany. You know, my wife and I are just amazed at the support and how tight-knit the community is. And we love living here, love living in Northeast Mississippi. You know, we tell our friends in different parts of the state that, I think Northeast Mississippi may be the best kept secret in Mississippi.
Amen.
And
Amen.
We love it here, and our family loves being here. So, we just really appreciate everything that New Albany and the community's done for us.
A lot of good school districts, rivalries, and all that kind of thing. But let me start by just kind of getting to know you a little bit more. Would you start off by just letting us know kind of your educational background?
Well, I graduated from Delta State in 1989.
All right. Yes, sir.
Got into teaching and coaching as soon as I got out of school. I actually have an accounting degree. I graduated in accounting and had to go the alternate route and wound up teaching and coaching. I've never done a bit of accounting work in my life, but the first day I was still in college and school asked me to come help them coach. I just finished playing football and I stepped foot on the practice field and I've never left it. So love teaching and coaching, and obtained my master's in administration. So for this is year 30 for me.
Yes, sir.
And so I've been in it a long time.
So you got your accounting degree from Delta State.
I did.
Did you play football there some?
Well, actually, I made a tour around the state a little bit playing football. I played at Mississippi Delta Junior College. I played at Mississippi State University, and then I finished up playing at Mississippi State, and I transferred to Delta State to finish my degree. My wife and I actually met, and we got married and finished our education at Delta State. Okay,
well, speaking of your wife and your family, can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Well, I've been married for 30 years, so have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter is finishing her 2nd year in PT school.
Okay.
She's actually going to do a clinical and live with us this summer, so we're excited about that. She's going to do a clinical in Tupelo at the hospital there. And
that's a pretty tough major.
It's very tough, and she actually has a huge exam today, so we're prayers out to her.
Yes, sir.
My middle child daughter, Katie Beth, is getting married in October 5th. She just finished at Delta State with a degree in accounting and studying for the CPA and getting her master's and trying to get married all at the same time. So that's she's has a little bit of a hectic life right now. And my youngest is my son Charlie. Charlie is a junior at New Albany. Plays baseball and football there and absolutely loves it.
So he transferred into New Albany High School as a junior.
As a junior, he did.
Sometimes that can be kind of a tough adjustment. Has it gone okay for him?
It was tough at first. It really was. He had it's a tough transition at that age. When we moved to Madison, from Greenville to Madison, my my middle child's junior year, and that was tough. So we knew it was going to be a tough move, but
Well, left a lot of friends and had a lot of connections.
absolutely,
And that's tough to do at that age.
and he had just his baseball team had just won the state championship at St. Joe in Madison last
Okay.
year, and kind of coming off of that and having to leave all that and to transfer in, it was hard. But the people here were great to him. He just immediately a lot of new friends, and the coaching staff and everybody just really made him feel at home. And now he just absolutely loves being here.
Well, I would think, you mentioned your accounting degree, I would think that came in pretty handy as an athletic director.
Well, it does. It does. Obviously, a lot of purchases and everything else comes through, and gate money and all that kind of stuff. So, I remember some of the stuff that we learned in accounting, but and that stuff definitely comes in handy.
It'd be nice if the books balanced when it was all over, right?
It would absolutely be nice, and I know my administration would love for the books to be balanced when the end of the year comes.
Well, since you've been here, churches, affiliations, clubs, any of that kind of thing?
We've looked around at churches, and we've been going to First United Methodist Church here. Really love the people there. A lot of school people were in there, and we've been invited to I think every church in the area, which is awesome. And we've been attending that church really since last summer, and just really, really enjoy it.
Well, let's kind of get into the job. What would you consider kind of your job description? What are the things that, you have some responsibility for, and, that kind of thing as the athletic director?
I guess a lot of people view being an athletic director, a lot of different ways. And the very first meeting I had with all of our coaches, I told them, I see my job as being a facilitator for them. I just want to make sure that I'm going to be there for them to get whatever they need so that their program is successful. And, I think that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy seeing our coaches and our kids being successful. Love being behind the scenes. I don't, it's about our kids. It's about the kids in our programs, and it's about our coaches getting our kids to where they need to be. And I love helping that process. If it's, uniforms, or if it's equipment, or whatever we need to make our program successful, I'm going to try to find out how to get it for them.
I've always believed that, that athletics, activities, clubs, they're the best dropout program anyone could ever have. I mean, there's a lot of statistics that will back up the idea that if people are involved in a high school, they're more likely to stay, and they're more likely to do well. Kind of how do you see athletics in the overall picture of a high school?
I think it's crucial. And when we say athletics, I'm going to throw in a lot of different extracurricular activities, like you're just saying. I mean, it gives kids an identity. It gives them a purpose. It gives them a reason other than academics to be at school every day. It gives them a community. It gives them a family to come to every day. And all of our programs, and I'm, especially football, I'm assistant football coach, so I'm heavily involved with that. We try to give our kids a sense of family. And I think the whole New Albany, our whole high school does that, across the board. And you can really tell, you can tell that it means a lot to the kids, and that the kids mean a lot to each other. And I think athletics teaches students so many more things than you can get in a classroom. Obviously academics is huge, and that's what you're there to do. But there are a lot of life lessons. I think anybody that ever played sports will tell you.
Yeah.
They draw on that experience a lot of times during your life. And, I think it really helps when tough times comes along to go through tough times as an athlete, because we all go through them. I don't care how good athletes you are. At some point, you got to experience how to be tough, and I think athletics helps you with that.
Well, and sometimes the coach says we're going to run one more.
Gotcha.
And everybody's like, I didn't think I could run one more 21 mores ago. So
absolutely,
there's a lot to be learned from that. And I also think there's a lot, and I wish you'd kind of help me with this, but winning is a great thing.
Right.
But there's a lot to be learned from losing.
Well, I think you learn more by losing than you do by winning. I think you figure out a lot of things. I think you figure out a lot about yourself. I think you figure out how to get yourself up and get back, and let's make sure we're ready to go next time. And a lot of times you learn a lot more about losing, and I think if you don't learn a lot more about losing, you've wasted that experience. I'm a huge believer in learning. If you don't learn something from that loss, it's just a total loss. But if you can gain something from it, you're way ahead of the game.
Well, what are some of the goals you have for the athletic department? As you've been here now, not quite a year, but you've gotten an opportunity to see a lot of what there is to offer, and you've been in the middle of it. What are some of the goals that you might have?
Well, I think the goals, for all of our individual coaches or across the board, is every year we want to compete for state championships. I think that's the number one goal as a coach. You want to compete for state championships and help your athletes become model citizens. Have them be a better person for being in your program. So we want to win state championships, and we want to produce good citizens for New Albany and our area. My goal for a program as a whole, as an athletic director, I want to see us competing for the all sports title, every year. That kind of lets you know where you are in the 4A classification every year. And, my goal as an athletic director is also the fact that I want to just help, whether it's with facilities, help improve our facilities to give our kids a better place to train, or to help our coaches to get whatever equipment they need to help our kids to train. And, those are my goals, just personal goals to help our coaches and our kids.
Okay. Kind of how would you assess our facilities at this point, or do you see things that need to be done, or you feel like we're in pretty good shape? Or?
There's always things to be done. Athletic directors, coaches never just satisfied with what they have. They always want to improve. And I think you're missing the boat if you don't always want to improve.
Yes,
I think that's huge. And I know our district stepped up and made a lot of improvements and invested a lot of time and money into helping upgrade our facilities. We have new paint on our buildings, some new signs, and it all looks nice. And I think we got to keep improving. And we have over 300 kids that compete in high school athletics at New Albany, and we have needs as far as like some space for practices, maybe some extra weight room space for all of our kids, because now all of our coaches are really focused and getting big on strength and conditioning. And so we made a huge improvement to our weight room a few years ago, I think, but we still have coaches that are just begging for space to get in and to work out and for their off-season conditioning and stuff like that.
Well, and you mentioned 300 in athletics, and then you had probably more than 100 in band.
Absolutely.
And you had all of the other activities and programs, whether it's the musical or whatever. People would be surprised to know that of the 600 plus students, I'm guessing it's still somewhere around 600, a very large percentage are involved in something. And that's really important, I think. Like
well, if you throw in, if you throw in JROTC, you throw in music, you throw in cheerleading, band, and tons of other. We're going to start a new program in the fall, which is esports. You don't get to play Madden or anything on there, but it's a computer-based it's a web-based program that is huge across the world. It's growing across our country, and it's more of it's one more opportunity for our kids to be involved in a team.
Okay.
And they compete against other schools. There's a state championship, so we're excited to be able to offer that to the kids who want to be involved with a team, who may not be athletically as inclined as some others, but it's a chance for them to have a team and to compete and to learn important skills, the team building skills and strategy and things like that. So, we're really excited about that. I think that starts in October.
Okay. Another thing, related to facilities is I know we use, for a lot of our sports, we use city property, parks, and this kind of thing. You want to describe that just a little bit?
Well, B&A Park has been very gracious, and all the people who work out there are just awesome to us. And
you talking about for tennis?
For tennis, and we play softball there and we play baseball there. So, the whole park facility, we run cross country out there a good bit. So, all the people there have been unbelievable hosts and allowing us to use their facilities and helping us out with whatever we need to make that successful. The park is always beautiful. It's always well kept. Everything's clean, and we appreciate the fact that we're able to make that New Albany's home away from home.
So when you think about it, we got just in high school a baseball and a softball team that play out there.
Right.
2 tennis teams, boys and girls.
Right.
2 golf not out there, cross country for
Cross
boys
country,
and girls.
we run out
So
there.
we have about 6 sports that use the city
We
facilities.
do, and middle school
extensively.
baseball plays out there.
There you go.
We have a high school field and a middle school field out there.
Well, and I think it's a shout out to Mayor Kent and the Board of Aldermen and the Park Commission and everybody who makes that possible. I think
Absolutely, very appreciative.
Let's kind of take a look at the programs by season from this past year, and then we'll kind of wrap up for today. But in the fall, and I may leave out something so you can help me, but in the fall we played football, volleyball, and cross country. Any kind of comments or thoughts about that season that we had, and maybe anything going forward?
Well, I think cross country was really successful. We had a ton of kids who made it to the state meet, which is big. They had to qualify to get there. Maria Favela finished 3rd in the state, I believe, which is got to be on the podium and represent New Albany.
Cool.
I know she's very proud of that. Volleyball, we made it to the 2nd round, I believe. Lewisburg, who's now a 6A school. Volleyball has it tough because they have to compete with 4A, 5A, and 6A schools.
Right.
I mean 4A and 5A schools. I'm sorry. Lewisburg is moving up to 6A. But they were so good, and it was so fun to watch those girls play. And we have a new volleyball coach. Reed Gann is moving on to Blue Mountain, be their head coach. And Ashley Conley, who a lot of our kids have played for in club volleyball, and was very highly recommended to us. We're very excited about Ashley coming in and being our volleyball coach. I know they just had finished up tryouts yesterday, so everybody's anxiously awaiting the list of the new volleyball team for next year. And so we're excited about that. Football, we made it to the playoffs for the first time in a long time, I know. Coach Stubblefield and the whole football staff do a great job, and I'm especially grateful to them. They let me just scratch my football itch by letting me coach a little bit out there, and so I really enjoyed my time with them. And we have a lot of kids back from last year. We have a lot of kids returning from last year, and
what do the numbers look like in football?
We're going to have roughly 80 kids involved in football, and that's going to be 9 through 12. We've got somewhere from 25 to 27 ninth graders. This year we're going to have a 9th grade team. Our 9th grade team will practice separate from our varsity team, which is really huge, and we think in building a program. So we'll have a 9th grade football team, we'll play JV football, and we'll play varsity football, along with the 7th grade games and 8th grade games from the middle school. So there's a lot of kids involved in football now, and we're constantly building numbers. Football is a tough sport, and it's tough to get kids to play football anymore. And there's so many other options out there, and so to have those type of numbers, we think it's really trending in the right direction.
Well, and parents, I would say having a freshman team, 4 freshmen, is really valuable because most freshmen aren't ready to bang heads with seniors, and I think having them in a situation where they can compete with their own age group as much as possible is very beneficial.
Well, I think so. It's hard, to be a 9th grader, because you're going to go out there every day, you're going to practice your rear end off every day, you'll get banged on a little bit every day, and then come Friday nights, there's really not a lot of chance you play unless it's a blowout one way or the other, because there are very, very few freshmen who are ready to play on Friday night. There's a couple, but there's very few who are, and so that's tough life. So for them to have the opportunity to have I think 7 or 8 game season, I can't remember the exact number, but for them to have their own season and to practice together and to stay together, we're really hoping we can get to the point where we have 25 to 30 kids per class every year at New Albany. And it'd be great to graduate 20 or 30 seniors every year, to have on senior night, have 25, 30 kids lined up there for senior night.
Right, and probably one of the best teams we've had in a long time. I think went 13-1 several years ago, but they had the benefit of a freshman team. They all played as freshmen, and I think got an opportunity to get their feet on the ground. So that's a real opportunity.
We actually have a spring jamboree, or not a jamboree, a spring scrimmage against Senatobia on May the 10th. So we're kind of looking forward to seeing that, and seeing, we've had we're in the middle of spring practice right now, so we've had a really good spring. A lot of guys have made so much improvement from last fall to this spring. I know our staff works those kids extremely hard in the weight room, and you can tell. I was looking at a player the other day, and I asked one of my coaches, said, "Who was that? Who was 28?" And it was a kid who was just a little scrawny ninth grader last year, and he had grown so much and gotten so much bigger. I didn't recognize him in his uniform. So, things like that are exciting to see.
Well, moving along to the winter season, of course, we had girls and boys basketball, bowling, and soccer. You want to talk a little bit about how the winter went?
Very successful. Our girls made it to the Final Eight in basketball. So, that was super exciting. This is the first year in a while, or maybe the first year ever, that usually they play the Elite Eight at the Coliseum. So we were, right there, from going to the Final Four to get to go to the Coliseum. In the years past, we would have got to go to the Coliseum, and those girls would have got to play there for the Elite Eight. But they had an amazing run at the end of the year. Just kind of kept getting better all year, and then at the end of the year, had an amazing run, played Ripley for that, to get to the Final Four, and it was a great game at Ripley, so that was exciting to watch our kids compete like that. And, soccer boys, can't remember if they made it to the second or third round in soccer, and our girls were extremely young. Girls soccer was extremely young this year, and, they had a great year being so young, and they're going to be good for years to come. So
seems like the boys basketball had
more than doubled the wins.
I was going to say an improvement over last season.
It was, from what I understand, I wasn't around last year, but from what I understand, the basketball program took a huge leap forward. Boys basketball program, a huge leap forward. And I know they're fun to watch because there's some guys who can play out there. We had a player sign with Blue Mountain College yesterday, or Tuesday, as a matter of fact. So, excited the direction that that's going. Bowling, I know they were, very competitive. They made it. They didn't make it out of the regional, but I know they were right there in the hunt for it.
Okay, thank you. And we get into the spring: baseball, softball, all sorts of things, track, tennis, golf. I'm probably left something out.
It's a busy time of year. I hope you did. I think that's about it. I know our girls golf just finished up their state. I think.
Seems like I read they got sixth or something.
I think they were fifth or sixth out of
14,
14, and did very well to qualify. I know Caroline King had a great year. She was a ninth grade golfer who competed very well. I think she finished in the top 5. I'm pretty sure it was top 5. Boys golf will compete Monday and Tuesday.
All right.
Got a chance to go get that one and got a chance to win that one. So we're excited for them. Tennis, we mentioned, state champs,
again.
Not much better than that again. She's got, Coach Bowman has a dynasty there, and they, went down to Jackson to watch them, and very proud of how they represented New Albany. Let's see.
Baseball,
of course, baseball made it to the playoffs for the first time in a while. A really young group, and Buddy Hall came back,
Coach
obviously,
Hall,
to coach us, and he and the staff that he has did a great job with those kids. Because I was there from the very beginning this spring, kind of in January they started, just kind of watching. I have a son who plays, and I watched a little bit, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know. But from the point they started at point A to where they finished, and woulda, coulda, shoulda won series with Pontotoc. We'd had a couple of things go our way. We were right there to win that series if we, just had a little bit of luck on our side. And
and Pontotoc had some good baseball.
They were a good baseball team.
Yep, they sure were.
We played them 3 times during the season, and 2 of them were extremely close. It could have gone either way, and so they had a good group of guys as well.
One of the themes I've heard throughout is that a lot of young players, a lot of youth,
It is
in
a lot of
of
youth.
the programs. So it sounds like things are looking up kind of across the board in all the programs.
Absolutely, and I don't know if we have a small senior class this year or not. I don't know the reason why we're as young as we are, but all of our sports are young as far as the number of kids or the age of the kids that we have competing in our sports. So we are really excited about the way things are going. Super excited for all of our teams because we just really feel like it's going to, every year we're going to continue to get better. And the coaches at our middle school were doing an amazing job too. People I don't know a lot of people's philosophy on this, but the middle school program is so important to build a foundation.
Right.
And Coach Duncan, Chris Duncan's the new athletic director there, and that's new coaches there as well, and they're doing a really great job of sending us kids who are going to be ready to play, and sending us kids who have the right frame of mind as far as athletics are concerned, and that's where it starts. That's where building championship starts, is on the 7th and 8th grade level, and or even starting with 6th graders in the spring. When we get all on the same page, and we are all on the same page, when we get that going, you start building every year, and that's what's important. We have to have that.
Sounds great. Well, we have 2 groups we hadn't mentioned that I do want to make sure we do. We've always had a great cheer group.
Right.
Can you want to say a thing or two about our cheerleaders?
I could not make it without Mary Beth Muncie, Melanie Anderson, and Amy Welburn, because they absolutely helped me out. It's unbelievable, the support that they give us, and they put out a lot of fires for me, I'm sure, and help me and get me out of some jams that they say, "Look, Coach, don't worry about it, we got it." And the cheerleaders do the same thing, do a phenomenal job. They work extremely hard. They work as hard as any athletic team that we have, and just really proud of them and the job that they do, and appreciate everything that they do.
And theirs is a year-round endeavor.
It's year-round, and those ladies are just really busy year-round. Then to devote their time to cheer and all the time they give those girls, they're very special people to me, for sure.
And finally, I guess our final group would be the very important group, Booster Club.
Booster Club, we're trying to kind of reestablish philosophy Booster Club wise, but right now every sport has their Booster Club, and any athletic program worth their salt could not exist without their Booster Club, without proper Booster Club support. And every Booster Club we have at New Albany, we could not exist and not do as well as we do without them. They do a phenomenal job of raising money, and they do a phenomenal job of supporting our kids. I very much want to thank them and let them know that we've had a few Booster Club meetings here lately, and I make sure I express that every time that I talk to them, because it's so important.
Well, before we sign off, is there anything you'd like to say to the community at large about the athletic program or your participation in it, or anything?
But probably the biggest thing I'd like to say is just like to thank the city of New Albany, the people of New Albany, the mayor, from the board, the aldermen, everybody involved, how much you support our school and how much we appreciate what you do for us.
Well, Coach, I certainly appreciate you being here with me.
Thank you.
So for Hill Country Network, this is Chuck Garrett saying we'll see you next time.